Okay, here he comes.
Well, it needs to be five, is it 5 o'clock?
It is on my computer.
Okay, Mary, I'll unmute you. I don't know what that bell is.
I can. There. Hello, I'm Mary Pierce, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Historic Zoning Commission. And the goal of the Historic Zoning Commission is to preserve and protect the historic character of Franklin in the context of historic preservation. And this is our June 8th meeting, and Jim Roberts, our chair, is out of town this evening. So I would like to do a roll call. Is Kelly Baker Heffley present? Is Susan Besser present? Jeff Carson? Mike Hathaway? Brian Lester? Lisa Marquette is absent. Her daughter's having a baby.
Jim Roberts is absent. Ken Scuff, I saw Ken
Here.
here. Okay, and I'm here. This evening, we will entertain a motion to approve the resolution 2020-83, a resolution declaring that the Historic Zoning Commission shall meet on June 8, 2020, and conduct its essential business by electronic means rather than being required to gather a quorum of the members physically present in the same
location because it is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in the light of the COVID-19 outbreak. We will do a roll call vote on the approval of this resolution.
Mary,
Uh,
motion.
Oh, I need a motion, true, thank you. We need a motion to approve the resolution. Kelly, okay. Okay. Okay, now we'll do the roll call. Kelly Baker Heffley. Susan Besser. Susan Besser. Jeff Carson is absent. Okay. Mike Hathaway. Brian Laster. Lisa Marquette is absent. Jim Roberts absent. Ken Scalf. Mary Pierce, yes. The motion is approved. To prevent the spread of COVID-19 and to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the City of Franklin, officials, staff, and citizens, the Historic Zoning Commission will restrict physical access in the meeting room to a small number of staff members due to the current limitations on public gatherings. Accommodations have been made to ensure that the public is still able to participate in the meeting. The public may participate in the following ways: watch the meeting on Franklin TV, watch the live stream through the City of Franklin Facebook and YouTube accounts, call 615-550-8450 to listen to the meeting. Callers will be unmuted and given an opportunity to ask questions during the meeting at specific times. Limited viewing will be available in the lobby of City Hall to watch the live video. The public may email questions to take, TAKE, at franklintn.gov to be read aloud during the meeting. Comments will be accepted up to 1 hour prior to the meeting. Share your official comments with the agenda item number specified in the comments section of the Facebook or YouTube live videos. Thank you. Okay.
And Jeff Carson just joined.
Huh?
Jeff Carson just joined.
Oh, Jeff Carson has just joined us. Hi, Jeff.
I'm here.
Okay. We will duly note that. May we entertain a motion to approve the May 11th, 2020 minutes? Is there someone who would like to make a motion?
So moved, Ms. Chairman.
Okay. And is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Thank you, Susan. We will now have a roll call vote. Kelly,
Aye.
Susan Besser,
Aye.
okay. Jeff,
Aye.
Mike Hathaway,
Aye.
Brian Laster,
Aye.
Jim is not here. Ken Scout,
Aye.
and Mary Pierce, aye. So the minutes are approved as written. Okay. We are now to see if there are any non-agenda items that are being requested to be on the agenda, Amanda? No, there are none that have been turned in. Are there any citizen comments that have been brought forward for items that are not on the agenda?
Is anyone,
Is anyone on the phone line? There are no public comments.
Okay. Then we will move to item 1, which is consideration of alterations to the accessory building at 203 2nd Avenue South. Diane and Mike Christian applicants and staff presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. May I share screen, please?
Yes.
All right, the applicant is requesting a certificate of appropriateness for alterations to the accessory structure at 203 2nd Avenue South. And I am pulling up the plan set to show that to you. Bear with me just a moment. Can everyone see the screen? Can you just nod your head?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so if you cannot see part of the screen, feel free to drag the black frame on the faces around so you can move the faces of the Zoom images around as needed. So the proposal is to alter the existing garage accessory structure by removing the existing garage door, as you can see here, which is a modern style garage door, and to replace it with custom carriage style doors composed of cedar. This is the current front elevation. As you can see, the home has recently been purchased and modified through some landscaping and some painting. And the desire is to replace the door, as you can see here, with the custom carriage style doors composed of cedar. The doors would have strap hinges and would be painted to match either the exterior trim or the trim of the outbuilding. Or I'm sorry, they would be painted to match the trim of the outbuilding or the exterior color of the house. I apologize for that. The doors would be 2 1/4 inch thick. It would measure 9 feet by 6.5 feet total. The applicants did appear before the design review committee to discuss the proposal at its May meeting. The guidelines support the replacement of features of like doors and with compatible replacements. The current garage door is modern, and the style and materials of the proposed door are in keeping with the character and architectural style of the principal structure that the garage serves. Therefore, the proposed alteration is consistent with the guidelines, and it is recommended the commission approve the accessory structure alteration with the condition that it meets all the requirements of the Building and Neighborhood Services Department, and that any changes are returned to either the preservation planner or the Historic Zoning Commission for review and approval. I will scroll down to show you what that door looks like. You can see that here. They're the strap hinges, the dimensions. You see the carriage style here with the windows. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amanda. Does the applicant, I know that Mike.
Diane are with us. Do y'all have any comments? Mike or Diane, do y'all have any comments?
Can you hear Mary?
You are muted, Mary.
I'm muted. Oops.
I got you.
Unmute.
Mike or Diane, do you all have any comments as the applicants? I apologize, I was muted.
No comments from me.
And I think that what Amanda just presented speaks for itself, hopefully.
Yeah, thank you. And have you received, Amanda, any comments from citizens, or is there anyone engaged right now with the meeting that wants to speak?
There is not.
There's not.
There's not. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the accessory doors at accessory structure doors at 203 2nd Avenue South?
Mr. Chair, this is Brian.
Mm-hmm.
I move to approve a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed accessory structure alteration, project number 7275.
Thank
And
you.
I'll second that.
Who was, Ken, were you the second?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so now we'll do our roll call vote.
Mary,
Uh-huh.
this is Mary Cruz Fincher. We need to open it up for discussion, or at least
Oh, you're right. Excuse me. Is there any commission deliberation on this? None? There being none, then we've had a proper motion and a second to approve as presented. So we'll do the roll call now. Kelly Baker Heffley.
Aye.
Okay, Susan Besser. Susan Besser. Aye. She's nodding her head. She's muted. Wait. I can't unmute her. Jeff Carson.
Aye.
Mike Hathaway.
Aye.
Brian Laster.
Aye.
Ken Scalf.
Aye.
And Mary Pierce. Aye.
Can we try to go back to Miss Susan, please?
Susan Besser.
Aye.
Yay. Okay. You are good to go. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
Thank you.
Mhm. We are now going to item 2, consideration of signage at 149 First Avenue North. Emily Kuykendall, applicant. And Amanda, would you like to give the staff report?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Pierce. The applicant is requesting a certificate of appropriateness for the installation of signage at 149 First Avenue North. This is the First Avenue North facade of the area associated with the Harvest Square development on the north side of the downtown square area, or downtown area, excuse me. The signage consists of two different parts. The first part, and I will go ahead and share screen that, is wall-mounted signage and of logo and lettering. Can everyone see the screen? Nod your head for me. All right, thank you. So this is about a little past mid-block on the facade. If you're all familiar with the location map I provided to you on your staff report, you see about mid-block is here. This is closer to Bridge Street on this side of the rendering, with East Main Street on this side of the rendering. The lettering and logo are proposed above the existing storefront and right below an existing box bay. The flush mounted letters are located on that first story and are composed of a quarter-inch plate aluminum letter painted navy blue. The larger letters are 13 inches in height and the smaller letters are 3 inches in height. The smaller letters are pre-mounted onto a flat metal bar that is then painted to match the facade color, which is a brick color, so it's a brownish tone. The logo measures 20.5 inches by 15.5 inches and contains a design with an orange used as an accent. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down so you can see that a little better. Here is the lettering I mentioned that's on the mounting bar. And here are the larger letters and the logo with the orange accent. The letter and logo cover about 14 square feet of storefront, and the storefront itself is about 31 feet in width over the total of the block facade width. There's also a window sign proposed. You can see in this area, there is a storefront, and on the window of the door itself, there is a window decal sign. The window decal is proposed to measure 2 square feet. The sign features the logo design again, with both a light and dark colored lettering. The guidelines recommend that sign colors complement the colors of the building and that strong primary colors only be used as accents, and that signs should have no more than 2 to 3 colors. The proposed color scheme with a dark navy color and with an orange accent is mostly consistent with the guidelines. The guidelines also recommend that locations, sizes, and placement of signs should be selected to complement those of adjacent and neighboring buildings. Because this application is for the first sign package on this entire street facade, it is one that was recommended to be forwarded to the commission for consideration. The window sign features the darker blue and the orange logos and letters with the white accents, and it is mostly consistent with the guidelines as well. It is recommended that the commission approve with conditions the proposed signage. The proposed window sign does exceed the sign sizing recommended by the zoning ordinance, and it would be recommended that the applicant work with both the planning department and the building and neighborhood services department to reduce the size of that decal in order to make sure that it meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance, which recommend no more than 15% of that window be obscured by signage. I believe right now it's close to 26 to 27%. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Am I unmuted?
You are not. She's not unmuted. That's what she just asked. Sorry.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Thank you, Amanda.
All of a sudden I just said, you are not. No one knew what I meant.
Yes, I am now unmuted.
Does the applicant have any comments about they'd like to make about the presentation or the request?
No. No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Are there any citizen comments that you know of, Kelly or Amanda? None?
No, there are not.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve this project?
Chair, I move that we approve with the conditions of certificate of appropriateness for the proposed signage.
Okay. Thank you, Ken.
And Kelly,
there-
second.
Kelly seconds. Thank you, Kelly. Is there any discussion among the members of the commission? No discussion? Since there's no discussion, we will go on to our roll call. Kelly Baker Heffley,
Aye.
do you approve? Susan Besser,
Aye.
Jeff Carson,
Aye.
Mike Hathaway,
Aye.
Brian Laster,
Aye.
Ken Scow,
Aye.
Mary Pierce, aye. The motion is approved as presented. Thank you, the application.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move to our next item. Item 3 is consideration of additions, alterations of the porte cochere, the enclosure, the roofing, and are you going to take these in parts, Amanda? And the demolition of the accessory structure and new construction. So we've got 4 elements to this particular project. So I would ask staff to do it as you see fit.
Thank you, Ms. Pierce. I am happy to break that up. As recommended, I have 3 different motions for the commission to consider. Okay, the applicant is seeking consideration or a request for a certificate of appropriateness for a series of work at 209 2nd Avenue South. The first being the construction of a 1-story rear addition, the following being the demolition of the rear yard outbuilding and the new construction of an accessory structure in approximately the same location as the existing outbuilding, the enclosure of the porte cochere to serve as a sunroom, and the replacement of the principal structure's metal roofing with wood shake roofing material. For some background, the commission deferred review of the items at its April 13th meeting to allow for additional discussion and for the applicant to present additional information to help advise the application. The applicant appeared before the DRC or the Design Review Committee to discuss the most recent proposal at its May 18th meeting. I'm going to discuss the addition first. The guidelines recommend that additions be designed to be clearly contemporary, yet compatible with the proportions, forms, materials, and details of the building, and be limited to no more than roughly half of the footprint of the original building. The original building is defined to include all portions of the building that are at least 50 years in age. I am pulling up the application now. Can everyone see it?
We can.
Okay, great. So I'm going to try my best to focus in on the highlights here. This is the existing house, and what's hatched behind it is the proposed addition. It is 1 story. What you see here is the porte cochere. It's existing, and all back here is the existing and proposed outbuilding. What is shaded here and here are parking areas. So to get the public and all the viewers kind of orientated, this is the street view from 2nd Avenue. And this would be looking at the property from the street. So this is the left side of the property, and this is the right side of the property. So the proposed addition is located at the rear of the residence and designed at the 1-story scale. It has a hipped addition that rests on the back. You can go ahead and kind of scroll down so you can see that. So you can see the hipped addition here. This is looking at it from the right side. And it extends outward, matching the ridge height from the front. So here is the front facing gable, and you can see that this hipped roof matches the ridge height of that existing front facing gable. The addition's subservient in size and primarily designed to read as a glassed-in porch. This is the right side. There is a small lot area here, but as you scroll over to the other side, forgive me, I got it zoomed in. I'm trying to make sure I show you everything. So as you can see it from this side, this is the east elevation, or the back of the property. You can see it's primarily designed to read as a glassed-in porch, more or less. That small section there is lapped and reads more enclosed with cementitious siding. The scale, the height, and the offsets that you see here and the material changes differentiate the form from that of the existing structure. The size of the proposed addition measures 335 square feet, which equates to approximately 28.7% of the existing structure. That addition size is consistent with the guidelines, which recommend that the size be no more than half of the original structure. The materials are proposed to be a reclaimed stone veneer, which would be this base here, reclaimed off the back of the house where the addition is being added, which would be consistent with the guidelines, which recommend that it would be compatible yet, form with the materials and forms and details with the building. The use of cementitious siding right here is also an appropriate material on a rear elevation. Although the use of a 4 to 5 inch lap is recommended as a historical equivalent over the use of a 6-inch as proposed here. Due to the proposed size of the double chimney that's proposed here, additional stone will likely be required beyond that that's reclaimed. And without the specifications, it would be difficult to know if the stone would be a match for the recommendations of the guidelines. So that is something that we would need to see as staff or the commission. Window specifications have not been submitted for this addition, nor the proposed outbuilding. Please note that the proposed roofing for the addition is not covered in this section. It is being reviewed overall for the proposed roofing material changes that the applicant's considering for the whole principal structure, which would include the attached porte-cochere, the addition, and the rest of the house. Okay, so that's it for the addition. The applicant is also proposing to remove the existing accessory structure, which is an outbuilding. I'm going to stop share here and pull up the photos that are in the staff report and recommendation. Give me just a moment. Okay, so the applicant's proposing to remove the existing accessory structure. You can see it here on the screen. The guidelines recommend that one, not demolish historic buildings or structures unless the Historic Zoning Commission deems one or more of the demolition criteria met. Those demolition criteria include the loss of architectural or historical integrity, unreasonable economic hardship is determined by the commission, public safety and welfare, or structural instability or deterioration. Within the online application submittal, the applicant states that the existing shed is compromised structurally and historically, and that it currently stands on posts without footings and has been significantly altered recently per historic aerials. Evaluation of the 1928 and Sanborn fire insurance maps that were updated in 1940 do indicate that the outbuilding was in place at that location, and it remained in the same footprint and configuration until recently, as indicated on the location map and the staff report and recommendation I provided to the commission in Exhibit 1. The structure is historic, but its integrity has been compromised by these recent alterations. It was significantly larger and longer, and I believe that it was compromised in coordination with the subdivision of property. The applicant is hopeful to remove this structure and to build a new structure in its place, and I'm going to pull that proposal back up. The proposed new structure is shown here. Let's zoom out a little bit. Okay, can everyone see?
Yes.
Okay. So this would be the west is the front elevation. The guidelines recommend that accessory structures be constructed in traditional locations behind the principal structure or to the side of the principal structure and behind, and be designed to be visually subordinate in place, size, mass, and intricacy to those respective principal structures they serve. The guidelines also recommend that accessory structures be designed to be shorter in height and designed to be consistent with the context of those principal structures. Architectural details should complement rather than visually compete with the character of the historic principal structure, and new accessory buildings should complement or should use components typical of historic equivalents. In this proposal, the proposed accessory structure is located at the rear and to the side in roughly the same location as the existing structure, which is entirely appropriate. The design of the proposed accessory structure also conforms with the guidelines. The design is comparable to the existing outbuilding, utilizes lap siding, a single carriage style door underneath the front facing gable, and a standing seam metal roof. The lat reveal should be consistent with adjacent historic buildings, which is typically 4 to 5 inches. In this case, is proposed as 6 inches. The size of the proposed accessory structure is consistent with the guidelines. It's proposed at 248 square feet, and the guidelines recommend that they be visually subordinate in size and location and footprint, which this entirely is. The cumulative lot coverage of the proposed addition with the outbuilding was one that was needing clarification on the previous application. The applicant did provide additional information at this stage. The lot measures approximately 4,883 square feet, and the applicant is proposing to add 335 square feet to the existing building, which consists of approximately 1,167 square feet of footprint. The proposed accessory structure is another 248 square feet. So cumulatively, the lot coverage amounts to 35.8%, which is mostly consistent with the guidelines. The guidelines recommend that lot coverage not exceed 35% in specified residential districts as measured by building footprint. The property has been reduced significantly in size recently by previous owners, and resulting in less than 1% overage in this case, which is imperceptible on the plan. As for the alterations to the porte-cochere, the applicant is proposing to enclose the existing porte-cochere. I'm going to go back up to the existing elevation set. You can see the existing plan here. This is the porte-cochere, which historically is a carport. And the proposal here is to enclose it with glass so that it may serve as a sunroom. The Portico-share is a historic element on the building. The 1928 Sanborn Fire Insurance maps do show that it existed on the building historically, and as a historic architectural element on the building, the guidelines would recommend against enclosure, stating that historical architectural features should be preserved and maintained, and that enclosing a portico-share changes the overall character of a residential building and should be avoided. The Secretary of Interior standards also suggest that any construction related to historic resources be done in a way so as not to destroy the historic materials that characterize the property. The new work shall be differentiated from the old and be compatible with the massing, size, scale, and architectural features to protect the historic integrity of the property and the environment. Further, if removed in the future, the essential form and integrity of the historic property and its environment would be impaired. As previously designed, the enclosure could not be reversed without compromising the historic elements, as the enclosure utilized masonry instead of horizontal and vertical framing members holding up glass or screening. And a large portion of the left elevation of the stone wall of the house was proposed to be removed to open up that area. The applicant has revised the application, however, to address these issues. The final proposal of the application is to replace the existing roofing material on the house. Right now, the house features a metal roof. I'm going to go back to the photograph of the house. Thought there was one on here. Here it is. There is a red metal roof on the house, and there's also a metal roof on the existing outbuilding. So the proposal is to replace that metal roof and to replace it with a wood shake roofing material. The guidelines state that roof materials contribute to building style and historic character and recommend that one retain historic roof materials, adding that if partial or wholesale replacement is needed, one use materials whose composition and appearance match the historic materials. Since historic photographs of the subject property cannot be located by staff and have not been provided, staff researched the Sanborn Fire Insurance maps to try to gather any relevant information on historic roofing materials. In this case, on the 1928 map, there is a note that a composition roof was in place on the principal structure, and that a tin or slate roof was present on the accessory structure. We do know that there is a metal roof on the accessory structure. You can see that in exhibits 3A and 3B on the staff report provided to commission. And I can pull those up too if there's a desire for me to pull up that map. But ultimately, the note that there was a composition roof on that historical documentation would mean that the proposal to replace the standing seam metal roofing is appropriate, but the guidelines would suggest that the most appropriate material to replace that roof with would be the historic material, a composition roof. Now, asphalt composition roofing was widely used by 1910, and that would be an appropriate material. And if one is seeking a dimensional quality on a roof, one may be able to do that with a dimensional asphalt composition roof. So I do have, for the commission's consideration, 3 different motions, and I'm happy to move forward with providing that information to you one by one or one by one. So I will start with the addition, demolition, and new construction, if that's how you'd like me to move forward, Ms. Pierce.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close share. Okay. So it is recommended that the Historic Zoning Commission approve with conditions the proposed addition, demolition of the outbuilding, and new construction of the accessory structure with the following. The proposed lot coverage amounts to 35.8%, which is mostly consistent with the guidelines. The guidelines recommend that lot coverage not exceed 35% in specified residential zoning districts as measured by building footprint. The property has been reduced significantly in size recently by previous owners, creating a lot that is much smaller than those around it and resulting less than 1% overage in building coverage is imperceptible. The stone material for the chimney must be approved by the preservation planner or the Historic Zoning Commission prior to issuance of a building permit. And the applicant must utilize a historically appropriate lat reveal for the addition and the accessory structure, which would measure between 4 and 5 inches rather than the proposed 6 inches for consistency with the guidelines. The windows for the addition and the accessory structure must also be submitted to the preservation planner for review and approval in light of the guidelines prior to issuance of a building permit. And the outbuilding must be satisfactorily photographed inside and out for commission records prior to demolition. Further, the application must meet all the requirements of the Building and Neighborhood Services Department prior to issuance of a building permit, including but not limited to the need to meet the minimum of 40% landscape surface area for the requirements of the zoning ordinance, and the need to submit the demolition and new construction work for the accessory structure and the principal structure on separate building permit applications. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Is there any comments from the
Property owner or the architect, applicant Marcus?
Hi. My only comments are in regard to landscape surface area and the exposure on the lap siding or the lap siding in general. Landscape surface area is calculated on the first page of our set, and it came out to 50%. I don't know if we need to submit something new for that, or if that calculation stands fine for this meeting. And then the second question
it's fine.
is... Okay.
It's just a note.
Okay, sorry. And then the second question is about the lap siding. The lap siding on the addition is to match the lap siding on the shed. And one comment that came up during our design review was that we should have corner boards on the lap siding of the accessory structure / shed. So I didn't know if that needed to match across or if we could do mitered corners on that, since it's a contemporary addition. Other than that, thank you for your analysis and summary, Amanda.
Do the Robinsons, do you all have any comment?
I don't think so.
Okay. Are there any citizen comments on this project that you have received?
They're not on the phone line.
What? You're muted. Yes.
There are none on the phone lines, but I believe
Okay.
Amanda has some information to
Do you,
share.
Amanda, have citizen comments?
I do have some citizen comments. They do relate to the entire project though. So I wondered if I should go ahead and cover the remainder of the project. But if you're considering a portion of the project now, it might be better for me to go ahead and read the comments.
I think read all the comments now.
Okay.
Amanda.
So the applicant or the owners of the property did provide the applicant, who then provided to me some neighborhood letters of support, as well as the letter they provided to their neighbors to solicit the letters of support. I received 4 letters, and I am happy to summarize the content of those letters and go ahead and pull that up for you. Right, so the letter from the Robinsons, I'm going to try to zoom out here so you can see, provided to the neighbors, sought to receive some support for their proposal, which was asking for, they asked for support for their variance. And I do want to clarify, a variance is a legal term. It's not quite what they're seeking here. What they're asking for is approval by the commission for something that may or may not meet the intent of the guidelines, which are not regulatory. A variance is a little bit of a different process. So what the Robinsons are asking for is not quite a variance, but they were asking for something that may not entirely meet the intent of the guidelines, depending on what the request is. But they were asking for support for a request for the overage on the lot coverage of 35.8% as opposed to the 35% lot coverage recommendation of the guidelines, for support from neighbors for the enclosure of the porte-cochere, stating that it will be constructed in a way that is temporary and can be reverted back to the original design if desired in the future. Support from their neighbors for the demolition of the existing shed in the back, which they stated is in disrepair, is not considered historical. They stated it has a dirt floor with no footings at present, and that they plan to build an auxiliary building of the same look to replace the existing shed. And they've also asked for support to add an addition to the back existing building, which falls within the guidelines required of the Historic Zoning Commission. Further, it states if the neighbors are in agreement with the plan for the renovation, they'd like to pass that information along to the commission when they meet with the commission tonight. It goes a long way with the committee to know that the neighbors will be the most impacted by the renovation do not have any concerns about the work, and that we are hoping to move forward with the work. Please let us know, or please know that we desire to improve the property while maintaining the integrity of the historical features of the home. We believe that our renovation will be a positive for the property values of our neighborhood and will help keep our street beautiful. And then if you're okay with the ideas that we have laid out, please sign the following letter. So they did get 4 letters. The letter says that, we live within 300 contiguous feet of the subject property. We have learned from the Robinsons that they'll be renovating and expanding their home, that they are requesting approvals that are not necessarily meeting the entire intent of the Historic District Design Guidelines on their property, and that they have seen the plans related to those guidelines, or to those, they've seen the plans as related to those guidelines that relate to the plans, and that they support it. And it was signed by Mr. Kelly Harwood, who lives at 202 2nd Avenue South, across the street.
Works there.
Yes, right. He owns the property across the street. Mr. Ira Shivitz at 202 Church Street. John Robertson at 211 2nd Avenue South. And Diane Christian at 203 2nd Avenue South. So that is what we received from as far as public comments are concerned related to this project.
Thank you, Amanda.
You're very welcome.
Mary, unmute.
I unmuted. We're now ready for the commission to deliberate on this part of the project, which I'm going to repeat it again to make sure I understand. It's the demolition of the outbuilding, the new construction of an accessory building, and the new construction of an addition. Is that right, Amanda? So this is the motion that we have the discussion on the table now. So is there a motion to approve as presented?
This is Kelly. I move to Kelly.
Okay.
I move to approve with conditions a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed addition, outbuilding, demolition, and accessory structure new construction.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Who's the second? Jeff?
Ken.
Ken. Thank you, Ken. It's been a motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion by the commission? The comment that I would make is that we
had discussed at design review scaling back the chimney on the addition, and I think that as it's presented, it's as was presented at design review without a modification. If there is no other discussion, we will take a roll call vote.
May I ask a question before that takes place? Mr. Brooks had asked for some guidance on the corner boards for the accessory structure in his comments. As I relayed the recommendation that the siding have a 4 to 5 inch lap reveal as opposed to the 6. And I would ask that the commission provide some comment to that as related to the motion on the table so that it's clear for Mr. Brooks and for staff.
Well, would that council need to be an amendment at this point to how it was presented?
Not necessarily, unless there's a change to what's shown on the elevations.
Well, how's it shown on the elevation?
I can go ahead and pull that up.
Amanda, it's currently shown without corner board.
That's what I was thinking. Bear with me just a moment, guys. So here are the front and side elevations. So I'm trying to zoom in as much as I can so that you can see as much as possible. So I've got 3 elevations here for you guys to see.
So Amanda, did you include in your staff comments to do the corner board?
No.
No, okay.
Mr. Chair, what we're seeing, aren't we seeing corner boards?
Yes, to clarify, I was referring to the little, I don't know what you call it, little nub on the addition that has siding.
Right. See, there are corner boards on the main portion, but
can you pull that
No,
up?
not the accessory, the addition.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
It's a single outside corner that's the only siding on the house.
There it is.
Right. And that to me was not even a concern at all.
Great.
Right. I am so sorry. Bear with me.
There you go, at the top left.
I have to move everyone around on my screen so I can see. Okay, can everyone see this? Right here?
Right. Are there any comments from the commissioners?
For consistency's sake, it seems a corner board would be proper in that location too.
I concur.
Well, do we offer it as an amendment?
Go ahead, Amanda.
It would need to be an amendment if it's not shown on the plan and it's requested by the commission to be reflected on the approved plan.
Okay, Brian.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to offer an amendment to the motion that a corner board be added to the rear siding on the left elevation looking west. I believe that's correct.
Corner board to left.
To the rear left elevation looking west. I guess it would be on the east side. I'm not certain.
So this is the back of the
Yes.
house.
East elevation, there it is.
So it would be this is the right side of the house, if that helps.
All right, yeah, I'm looking at the rear, so, okay.
Mhm.
So that would be the right rear.
Yes.
Okay. So we have an amendment by Mr. Lester to the main motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Was that you, Mike?
Ken.
Ken? I can't see people's faces having to guess who it is. Okay. Thank you, Ken. So we have an amendment to the main motion and a second. So we are now going, we need to vote on the amendment by roll call. Is that correct?
Before you do, just open it up for discussion.
Okay, is there any discussion to the amendment that's been made and seconded? No. I've got them. Found them. Got it. Okay. Then we are voting on the amendment. Kelly,
Aye.
Susan Besser,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Mike Hathaway,
Aye.
Brian Laster.
Aye.
Okay. Ken Scow.
Aye.
Okay, and Mary Pierce, aye. So we have now approved the amendment and we're voting on the main motion. I'm gonna run out of sheets of paper. So let's see here, folks. We're now,
Ms. Chair,
uh-huh.
I had a couple of questions about the entire motion with the additions and alterations, and that would be on the stone.
Yes.
But I know on the front of the house, it seems to be painted gray. Is the stone painted on the rear as well?
Yes, it is.
So any stone that would be added actually would be painted to match what's there already.
Yes.
Yes.
Other question relates to the windows. The mullions and the muntins, especially the vertical members that are larger, what material is that made of?
All windows are wood windows.
Thank you.
Very good questions.
Okay. So we now, I'm getting confused, so someone help me. We have the main motion as amended. Do we have a first and second on that? Is that correct? And who made that motion?
That motion was made by Ms. Baker Heffley and seconded by Mr. Scalf.
Okay. Main motion. Just a second, I'm sorry. Okay, so now Kelly Baker Heffley, the motion as amended.
Aye.
Susan Besser,
Aye.
Jeff Carson,
Aye.
Mike Hathaway,
Aye.
Brian Laster,
Aye.
Ken Scow,
Aye.
and Mary Pierce, aye. So the the three elements that we covered are approved, amended with one amendment. So Amanda, now we will go. I'm going to try to catch up with my writing a little bit. Let's see. This was the main motion for the addition, the demolition, and addition of accessory, right?
And I should have added more pages for you right after that. I
That's okay.
apologize. So now I will discuss the alterations to the porte-cochere. I've already given an analysis. The recommendation is that the Historic Zoning Commission deny the proposed porte-cochere enclosure because the guidelines recommend against enclosure, stating that historical architectural features should be preserved and maintained, and that enclosure of a porte-cochere changes the overall character of a residential building and should be avoided. If issued a COA, the window specifications must be submitted to the preservation planner or the Historic Zoning Commission prior to issuance of a building permit. And also, if issued a COA, the application must meet all the requirements of the Building and Neighborhood Services Department prior to issuance of a building permit, and any alterations to the approved plans must be submitted to the Commission for review and approval. Thank you.
Mary, you're muted.
Wait, let me unmute. Okay, I'm unmuted. So we are now on the motion for the porte-cochere.
Have there been any comments from the public on the porte-cochere?
Is there anyone
Just
on
that
the-
main thing, and we've been past that.
We have covered all the comments.
We've covered all of that. Okay, is there a motion to approve the porte-cochere as presented?
The recommendation's denial.
Is there a motion? Is there a motion on the porte-cochere?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that we approve the porte-cochere as submitted.
I'll second.
Okay. Okay. Is there any discussion?
Madam
Chair, I
Chair,
have
this,
a question.
Madam
Yes.
Chair, you need to have a reason that that's approved.
That's true. Is there a reason that, Mike, you would like to give for going against the staff recommendation?
Yes, ma'am. My reasoning is because it's easily removable as currently designed, as opposed to the demolition that was requested before. So I believe it's an element that can be removed in the future and not detract from and create an issue with the current historic house.
Thank you, Mike. Is there anything you'd like to add for why you seconded it, Brian?
I would. Its original use is no longer a modern way of using that space. So what better way to use that space than like a sunroom that can be reversed in the future? I think I would be opposed to making it into something more permanent. So that's why I seconded.
Got you. Thank you both. And thank you, Susan, for reminding us of that important step. Okay, we are going to now take a roll call vote. Kelly Baker Heffley.
aye.
Susan Besser. Susan, you're muted.
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Jeff Carson.
Aye.
Mike Hathaway.
Aye.
Brian Lester.
Aye.
Ken Scow.
Aye.
And Mary Pierce, aye. So the porte-cochere is now approved, and it is it is against the staff recommendation that it got approved. So we are now going to what is our next one? Roofing, yes, thank you.
Okay. The alterations to the roofing, which would be the proposal to replace the existing metal roofing with a wood shake roofing. As discussed previously, it is recommended that the Historic Zoning Commission approve with conditions. Based on staff research of primary source material, the proposal to replace the standing seam metal is appropriate. The guidelines suggest that the most appropriate replacement material would be the historic material indicated on the Sanborn Fire Insurance map, a composition roof. The use of a composition or asphalt shingle roof can provide dimensional quality similar to that of the proposed wood shakes while meeting the intent of the applicable guidelines, which recommend that one use the existing or historic roofing material. If the applicant finds evidence of a historic roofing material underneath the existing metal roof that is not an asphalt shingle roof, the applicant may contact the preservation planner to discuss whether the discovered material qualifies for an in-kind replacement material. If any additional changes to the approved plans are proposed, that must be returned to either the preservation planner or the Historic Zoning Commission for consideration and approval. And if there's any decking changes proposed, that would qualify for a building permit. So just materials itself would be no building permit, but roof decking itself would require building permit. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Amanda.
Mary, you're on mute.
I'm on mute again. Excuse me. Well, let me unmute.
There, I'm unmuted. Okay. Do we have a motion to consider approval of the staff report? I think, yeah, or another motion regarding.
Madam Chair,
Mm-hmm.
I move to approve with conditions the certificate of appropriateness for the proposed roofing material alterations.
Okay.
Second, it's Jeff.
Jeff is seconding. Okay. Is there any discussion?
I have a question. Is the motion on the floor to approve with conditions or propose?
The way I understand it, the motion on the floor is to approve the staff recommendation, which was for a composite roof. And if they could show proof that something else was on there, then that could also be considered, but come back to staff. Is that correctly stated?
I believe Mr. Scout's motion is approval with conditions as listed on the report. Yes.
Right. So we have a motion and a second to approve the roofing as presented by staff with conditions. We will do our roll call vote. Kelly Baker Heffley.
Aye.
Susan Besser.
Madam Chair, it's not a composite, it's a shake.
No, she is recommending a composite, the staff report. Is that correct?
The application's requesting the removal of the metal and its replacement with a wood shake. The evidence from the primary source materials demonstrates that at some point in time there was a composition roof, which is an asphalt shingle roof. So the recommendation of staff would be based on the guidelines that the existing material could remain, but if the applicant so desired, they could replace the metal with a composition or asphalt shingle roof. And if they take the metal off and there is a different material underneath, which is likely because sometimes people just put metal roofs right over the existing material, they could stop and contact staff and talk through options for replacing with whatever material they find underneath.
But the motion in the second does not approve a wood shake roof.
That is not my understanding on Mr. Scalf's motion. I would ask him for clarification on his motion, but I believe it's approval with conditions being staff's comments.
I concur.
Which is not a wood-shaped roof.
Correct.
Is that what you think?
Ken?
I concur.
Okay, is that what you think, Jeff?
Yes.
Okay. So we have the motion and the second and one vote for the approval of the roof as staff recommended with conditions.
And Ms. Baker Heffley, you understood that?
Right.
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so Susan, are there any other questions?
No, thank you for clarifying that.
That's good. Okay, are you ready to vote? Susan?
Yes, in favor.
Yes, okay. Jeff Carson?
Yes.
Okay, Mike Hathaway?
Yes.
Brian Laster?
Yes.
Okay. Ken Scalf?
Yes.
And Mary Pierce? Yes. So the roofing is approved with staff comments and conditions. Thank you. Thank you all, Robinsons, for loving this house.
I do want to thank the applicant and the property owners. You've done an incredible job with this project, and I wish you all the best moving forward. This is a great project, and you've worked very hard on it, and I commend you.
And it's fun, Marcus, to see a young architect here before us with such a significant project.
Thank you, everyone.
I do hope to see you again, Marcus. Come back.
Okay, send us some projects.
Okay. Let's see, our next project is item 4. I think I'm not that lost. I hope, is that right? Item 4, which is the consideration of landscaping at 230 Franklin Road, the factory at Franklin. And Amanda?
Yes. The applicant is seeking a certificate of appropriateness for the replacement of a section of walkway at the factory at Franklin property and to replace it with concrete pavers. I'm going to pull up the plan. Actually, just a second. And try to pull up the newest plan. Give me just a moment, please. The applicant revised the plan slightly based on comments. Okay. All right, so can everyone see the screen? Can you shake your heads for me? Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so the applicant is revising or seeking to replace a section of the walkway here. You can see the rear parking lot at the factory. This is the rear, Franklin Road, Liberty Pike. This is where the rear parking / farmers market area is, and it runs the midsection of the factory up to the rear of where everyone recognizes this Mojo Taco. So the walkway currently consists of a lot of marbled paver material, some railroad ties, some concrete section of sidewalk, and the desire is to replace the material with something that is more consistent and provides the ability to provide access to the underground utilities there. The guidelines recommend that the original landscape features and configurations be maintained and that one preserve and maintain historic sidewalks and walkways, that new walkways and sidewalks follow historic patterns and alignment, configuration, width, and materials. This walkway material is not historic. It was installed when the previous owner purchased the property. The walkway's central course is in that midsection as I described, and it consists of the various materials that you see here. The guidelines suggest that the new replacement material follow historic patterns, and the applicant has indicated that the use of a traditional sidewalk, as you see here, is preferred but not preferable because of a lot of underground utilities, which they do demonstrate on their plan. So in lieu of a traditional concrete sidewalk, the applicant is proposing to use a paver that would allow for lesser difficulties in the ongoing utility maintenance through this area, as well as to correct some potential tripping hazards, drainage issues, and some potential ADA conflicts that you can see throughout the various changes in material throughout. So the proposed material that was presented in your packet materials that you have with you today had a combination of two pavers from the Belgard line of products. The main field choice is a Catalina Grana paver, which you see on the left image here. It is the Savannah color. And the Sailor course was from a Dublin cobble paver of an unidentified color. They are from two different lines of the Belgard products. The Catalina Grana paver is from the Metropolitan line, which is exhibiting a smoother, more linear surface material for a more contemporary look. And the Dublin cobble was from what's called the Heritage line, which is a paper that exhibits more distressed, tumbled surface material. This distressed look is evident in the photograph that I provided in the staff report of the Harpeth Hotel courtyard, which is where that was used primarily. So that photograph was provided in the staff report when staff asked for additional information on that paver choice. The character of the factory is industrial overall. It uses a lot of brick, a lot of metal, a lot of concrete. And while most appropriate walkway material would be a standard concrete sidewalk, because that is what's seen there primarily, staff understands the need to access the many utilities demonstrated on the site plan that was provided. So the use of a sailor course, like you see here, well, actually, this is not a, this is a soldier course, isn't it? Yeah, but the use of a course material would be appropriate, but the use of a contemporary style mixed with the distressed style was not the recommendation of staff. Staff would recommend that that wouldn't be consistent with the character of the site at the factory, that you would need to either utilize the Belgard Metropolitan line, AKA, stick with the smoother, linear surface, more contemporary look for both the main course of walk and the course material, or to go with the heritage line for both, but not to mix the two. The applicant, in receiving the information, did revise the proposal, which you see here, and has recommended to the commission that it would like to use, instead of the Dublin cobble, use the Belgard Catalina Grana in this Savannah color as shown, and then use a sailor course edge in the Savannah color from the Metropolitan line, so that it's all from the contemporary line of the Belgard products. There's no mixing the distressed with the contemporary. It's all from the same line, all the same kind of look instead of mixing the two looks. So that is a revision that's brought to you at the meeting by the applicant. That's not reflected in what you have in your staff report, but it is based on the recommendations of the staff report. So the recommendation of the staff report is that the applicant utilize one line or the other, either using all the contemporary look or all the distressed look. Right now, the applicant is asking to use the contemporary look, and I'll ask them to elaborate and explain that a little bit more. And that the conditions include that additional information be submitted to staff, because in the original submittal, there was a note that stated that there would be an accent area added to the main entrance of the factory at Franklin, but there was no substantive information included in the application that provided information on that. So additional information would be needed to submit to determine or substantiate that request. The location, the area of disturbance with exact paver location matching what the commission approves if the commission desires to do that, for consideration and approval of that area prior to work commencing. So I would encourage the commission to ask more information about that. And that all of this require meeting the requirements of the Building and Neighborhood Services Department prior to issuance of a building permit.
Thank you, Amanda.
You're welcome.
Does the applicant want to comment?
Yes, ma'am. This is Kelly Freimeyer. Hi, Kelly Freimeyer for Gamble Design. Greg Gamble is also on the Zoom call. Just very briefly, I think Amanda covered all of the points and showed the photographs of the existing conditions. As we previously discussed, since this would be the only sidewalk or walkway on the property that would have the paver. It's currently not historic, but we did want it to solve several problems. She mentioned the drainage issues and the tripping hazards and the existing marble being very slick. So the choice that we have on the Bellegarde paver, we've selected an edge paver that's very similar to the Dublin cobble. It's just from that same line. The intent was always to use the same color paver so that it doesn't stick out. It just provides that nice defined edge on the end. This is a very comparable stone. So we don't have any issue with that. We agree with staff. We can make any kind of resubmittal that's necessary for that. We're here for any questions, if there's anything further, but I think that that Amanda covered all of our points. So happy to answer anything else.
That there is an area just adjacent to Mojo that they're considering or contemplating for outdoor dining, maybe with some tables, chairs, and umbrellas. If they decide to do that, we'll bring a submittal back to the Historic Zoning Commission. Yeah. We're asking you to approve the plan as currently submitted.
Thank you for the clarification.
So that would not include the front entry for the factory? There was a note in there for that.
I think it was supposed to be referencing the Mojo Taco.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, thank you. I do have a question, if you don't mind. Is the Holland from the Metropolitan line?
It is. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm looking at it and I don't see it on that list.
Yeah, I can send you, I have a catalog that has a sheet that designates which lines the different stones are in. And that is so some of the stones are sold in the three different stone patterns, and that's all they come in. And so if you want to create the edge course, they have only a few stones in each line that are sold just as kind of that edger course. And the Holland is one of the two stones in the Metropolitan line that's sold as an edger course.
Oh, okay. So it wouldn't necessarily be on the website.
It should, if you sort it to our specific distributor.
Okay.
It would be there. It's their website is not the easiest to search. The catalog, the catalogs for each region are much easier. But I'll send you that page. But it does highlight all of the stones that are available sold separately as edgers and then as the same line.
Okay, but the photograph that's provided that I had up, and I'll go ahead and share again, everybody, is that the Holland?
That is the Holland, and the field stone that's kind of that herringbone pattern, as well as the soldier course. That is the Holland stone. I did not have a photograph of the Holland stone in the Savannah color, but this is the photo, the stock photo from Bellegarde.
Okay.
So both the field and the edge of that particular image are both the Holland.
But everyone keep in mind, this is not the course they're asking for. They are asking for a sailor course, which would run the other way.
Correct. It'd be the short ends together.
Yeah.
And it creates a nice edge, similar to how the railroad ties are kind of holding that place in now. And then we can use that as the threshold transition in areas where we need that as well.
Thank you, Ms. Freimeyer.
Did you receive any citizen comments on this project?
No.
Okay. If the applicant is through, which I think they are, then we are ready for the committee
To deliberate. Is there a motion?
To approve with conditions a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed landscaping alterations. And this is Brian.
Uh-huh.
I'll
Thank
second.
you, Brian. Who's our second?
This is Mike.
Mike? Thank you. Okay, we will now do our roll call vote. We've got a proper motion and a second.
Mary, I believe there's some comment from the commission.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. Is there any considerations or comments from the commission?
Madam Chair, I wonder if we don't want to have Ms. Rose see the sample before it's installed. We as a commission, we've only seen photographs, and that sometimes that can be misleading.
Do you want to offer that as an amendment?
Yes.
Okay.
I move to amend the motion to include the approval of the stone by the preservation planner.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll second that. This is Kelly.
Okay. Just a second, you all. I don't know if they're depending on me for this or not, but I'm doing it. Okay. So to include the approval of the stone by the preservation planner, and that was made by Susan and
Seconded by Kelly. Okay, so
now we're going to vote on the amendment. I think that's correct, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh. I'm now running, let's see. Sheets, I need extra sheets. Okay. This is fun, guys. Okay. On the amendment, Kelly, yes or no? We're voting on the amendment.
Yes.
Okay. Susan Besser. Okay. Jeff Carson.
Yes.
Okay. Mike Hathaway.
Aye.
Ken Scalf.
Aye.
Okay. Mary Pierce, yes. So now we're going back to the main motion as amended. I didn't say Brian. I didn't.
Aye.
Brian, excuse
Aye.
me. I was skipping over Jim and Lisa too quickly. So now we are back this is our amended, and we're back now to our main motion. which is to approve the stone with conditions, the contemporary paver, and it will now come back to staff for approval. So Kelly,
Aye.
as amended, Susan Besser.
Aye.
Okay. Jeff Carson.
Aye.
Okay. Mike Hathaway.
Aye.
Brian, I'll get you this time. Brian Laster.
Aye.
Okay. Ken Scow.
Aye.
And Mary Pierce. Aye. So that passes.
Thank you all. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. So just thank you all so much. And I think somewhere we need to know that what's being moved were upside down grave markers that had issues when they were inscribed, and the Leahys were able to get them at a big bargain. So it would be fun to have that story saved somewhere.
I think our applicants left, but I guess I'll let them know that in case they didn't know.
Okay. It's just kind of fun. Okay, we are now zipping right along to item 5. Could we have its consideration of a rear porch extension at 106 Mayberry Court in the Franklin Road Historic District? Amanda?
Yes.
Give a staff report.
Yes, the applicants are requesting a certificate of appropriateness for the extension of an existing rear porch at 106 Mayberry Court inside Miles Manor subdivision. The applicants are also seeking to place a concrete patio between the rear porch and an existing bedroom area at the rear of the building, and have provided information about the request in the application. The at-grade patio does not require issuance of a COA, however, so that part is not reviewed as part of the staff analysis and recommendation, just the proposed rear porch extension. The guidelines state that the construction of porches or decks may be supported on rear or secondary elevations where they're not readily visible from the street, and that new porch materials should be compatible with those found on the principal structure or match existing porches found within the district. The residence is a non-contributing infill structure. It was constructed around 2011 as part of an enclave built off of Miles Manor Court. And because of that, the alteration to the existing porch may be appropriate. The existing porch is proposed to be extended into the rear yard by 10 feet. And I'm going to go ahead and share that with you. So here's the property, here's Mayberry Court, and here is the house. Here is the existing rear porch. Here's that existing bedroom area I mentioned where and then here's where the concrete patio is going to go. The proposed rear porch extension is here as drawn in. And it's going to extend about 10 feet backward into the yard, producing an additional building coverage of approximately 187 square feet. The applicants propose to use matching materials for the extension, which would include a brick base, matching post, matching architectural shingle roofing, and screening materials proposed to be added. So I'm going to kind of go back here. Here's another area that kind of shows the existing covered porch and the extension. Here is the rear elevation as you would see it from the backyard. The guidelines recommend that additions be limited to no more than half of the footprint of the original building. The proposed addition measures 187 square feet, which amounts to a 5.7% addition to the overall structure, which is consistent with the guidelines. The proposed lot coverage measures 30%, which is also consistent with the guidelines, which recommend no more than 35% in this residential area. It is recommended that the commission approve the proposed rear porch extension as applicant would need to submit an application for a building permit that would need to meet all the requirements of the Building and Neighborhood Services Department prior to issuance of said permit. And if there are any changes proposed to the plan as approved by the commission, that would need to be submitted to staff or the Historic Zoning Commission prior to being constructed. Thank you.
Thank you. Were there any comments from the public? Oh, I'm muted. Were there any comments from the public on this project? Or does the applicant have any?
I see the Hendersons. Do you all have any comments?
Just appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Outdoor additions are going to be very popular during the coronavirus period.
So, anyway, is there any
Public feedback on this?
Is there anyone on the line? No, ma'am?
No? Okay, then it is time for deliberation.
By the commission. Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, this is Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
I move to approve a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed rear porch extension.
Second.
Thank you. Is that Mike?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
You're the second.
That would be right.
Is there any discussion? There's no discussion. Then we will vote on the motion as presented and seconded. Okay. Kelly, Baker, Heffley.
Aye.
Okay. Susan Besser.
Aye.
Jeff Carson.
Aye.
Mike Hathaway.
Aye.
Okay. Brian Lester.
Aye.
Okay. Ken Scow.
Aye.
And Mary Pierce. Aye. So the porch addition is approved. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we now have the very popular motion to entertain to adjourn.
I do have a quick announcement, if that's okay.
Yes.
I did want to report that the city did receive word from the Tennessee Historical Commission that we have been awarded 2 grants. We applied for 2 grants from the Federal Preservation Grant Fund. Now, we have not brought this before the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, like in the form of contracts for consideration yet, but we did receive 2 awards. One is for funding to finish the restoration of the windows at the Hayes House at Harlansdale Farm, and one is to undertake some ironwork restoration at City Cemetery. So that's very exciting.
It's very exciting, Amanda. And thank you for always making sure that we try to scoop up that money. The Macklemore House, the African American Heritage Society, also received a grant in the amount of $25,000.
Go toward the exterior rehabilitation of the house, and we're excited about that too. Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn? Kelly, is that you?
It's always Kelly, yes.
Okay.
I'll
And is there a
second.
second?
I'll second.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna have a roll call. Kelly Baker Heffley,
Aye.
Susan Besser,
Aye.
Jeff Carson,
Aye.
Mike Hathaway,
Aye.
Brian Laster,
Aye.
Ken Scow,
Aye.
and Mary Pierce. Aye. So our How Many Zoom meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Appreciate you.
everybody. thank our great staff. Kelly has been behind the scenes here. Thank you.
Hi, thank you.
Bye, guys.
There's Mary Cruz has been behind the scenes too. Have you had hand surgery? Breast issues. Okay. Good to see you all. Bye.
Woo! Nicely done, ladies. Very nicely done.
I'm gonna try to get this straight.
You did an awesome job.
No, I didn't either.
Yes, you did.
How late are we, guys?
It's 6:39.